he came to my office kicking and screaming. He's like, what is going on? Well, you're bullying your wife. That's what's going on.
Hi, I'm Peter Kowalke, and today I'm here with Kim Bowen of The Marriage Place. One of the big issues is when a partner is angry and abusive on some level. There's some level of belligerence, maybe being out of control in some regards. That can be a really hard situation in a relationship.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure you've seen many couples in that situation, and so how do you start to break that down and address that one?
The very first thing that I do is stop all minimization and denial. What we tend to do, even the women who are in that situation, I hear more often than not, but he's such a nice guy. But you don't understand, he's really sweet. But sometimes, and I want to say, well, of course he has his good moments, or you wouldn't be there. If it was all bad all the time, you wouldn't put up with it. So stop minimizing how bad the bad really is, right? The person who's the abuser in that situation is the king of denial, usually, and minimization. And for them, and I understand their point of view as well, oftentimes they come from really angry families. I mean, we learn anger. We're not born angry. We learn it. And so in their home environment, they've probably dialed it back several notches from what they grew up with. So to them, it's like, oh, you think this is bad? Well, I could show you bad. Right? So they're minimizing. That's how they minimize what they're putting their own families through. So, yeah, that's the first thing I do is break through minimization and denial. You're not a nice guy if you're yelling at your kids and your wife. You're not a nice guy if everyone's walking on eggshells around you.
Sometimes, though, the partner doesn't even realize that they're being abusive. How does the person in the couple who's being abused handle such a situation? I've definitely seen couples where the abuser doesn't really even know what's going on. They know there's fighting, but it's easy enough to say, well, it's my partner's doing it too. This goes both ways.
You have to get their attention. And so here's what I did with a client recently. And I want to preempt this by saying if anyone's hearing this and there's physical abuse, do not do this, because this will put you in more danger. Your first priority needs to be safe, right? And that usually means going to a woman's shelter or a man, getting out of the home and getting yourself distanced and safe until there's some anger management and some direct intervention involved. But if you're living with somebody who is emotionally reactive, who's loud, who is domineering, intimidating, a bully, then it's really important to be calm. The first thing you do is make a request. You just say, look, this is what I'm experiencing in this. When you yell at me, when you call me names, when you throw things, it makes me feel frightened and scared and like I can't trust you or can't open up to you. And I'm asking you to work on that or to stop doing that. If they refuse or they do it for a little while and then keep falling back in the old patterns, because change is hard. This is not a switch that's going to flip. Then we teach a client how to set limits. And you set limits by the limits on you, on your behavior, what you will tolerate and put up with. So it might look like, the next time you come home and you call me a bitch, then I'm going to sleep in the guest room that night. And that lets your partner know, I mean business. I mean this. This is not something that is just mildly irritating. This is a showstopper for me. I have a client I've been working with for quite a while, and she moved out of the bedroom. She put the marriage on hold. No more sex, no more together. I'm in the guest room until you figure this out. And he came to my office kicking and screaming. He's like, what is going on? Well, you're bullying your wife. That's what's going on. And until she caused him some discomfort and pain, he wasn't willing to look at it.
What happens though if you're a partner and you do value the marriage, you do value the partnership, and you know there's problems, but you're also scared about losing the partnership. Sometimes it's hard to set those limits because if they don't listen to those limits, or there's always the fear that it'll just escalate, and the next thing you know, you're going to be seeking a divorce.
Right.
What about that scenario?
I'm glad you asked that, because that's really important. You don't want to set a limit. You don't want to set a limit with something you can't follow through with or don't want to follow through with, because then you're making one a threat, and nobody likes to be threatened, and two, you're both going to walk away disappointed if your goal is, I'll do this, then you do that. This is more of a place of coming in and saying, look, I'm really unhappy in this relationship. And I don't teach clients limits on everything. These are the things that are really showstoppers. It's like, I don't want to be in a marriage anymore where this is going on. Mm-hmm. Right? But if you're in a relationship and you really want the marriage, but you need the behavior to stop, you can set limits that aren't quite so threatening. It doesn't have to be move out of the bedroom. It doesn't have to be move into an apartment. It can be, I'm going to go out to dinner and you can fix dinner yourself tonight because, this is unpleasant for me.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time to talk with me, Kim. I really do appreciate it. You have, in addition to coaching that you do worldwide with clients, you also do a retreat, a breaking free workshop that deals with emotional baggage, which is something that lots of couples struggle with. And they can find this at your website, marriageplace.com.
Marriageplace.com. The workshop's listed there. We do it once a month. All right. So it's great. We have people fly in everywhere to come to this. So it's a good thing.
I believe it. So thank you again for taking the time to talk with me, Kim.
Oh, Peter, thank you so much. This was fun.